All right, everybody, we are back with another amazing session. Cause marketing is one of my passions. I love incorporating into my business, and I hope you incorporate it into yours. We are here with Steven from GoodCarts, who's going to give a quick presentation on cause marketing and then bring in the founding team of Empowered to talk through their business and what they do from cause marketing perspective. Steven, I will let you take it away.
All right, thanks, Derek. So we're going to talk about cause marketing and what I call the cause-centered e-commerce evolution. So passion. E-commerce entrepreneurs are passionate people. I come from a world of passion. My first career was in technology for good, in community life. And I worked every day to help convince people to join a movement, to be part of something, to be an advocate for local online communities. And now I'm sort of in my second career here talking about technology for good, meeting e-commerce. But I come at it from sort of a community organizing perspective. That's what I'm going to share with you today. So first up, I'm going to talk about a bunch of cause marketing apps. And then second up, we have a wonderful panel. So basically 15 minutes each. So a lot of times you kind of hear that moralistic sort of call, you need to have a purpose-driven business or you need to do good in the world. Well, it's not good enough, just because is not going to work. And so I'm going to share some numbers first. So Klaviyo, just about last month, came out with a survey, and they noted that 89% of people say that sustainability is important to them. But they kind of bemoan the fact that, only 27% of people say they regularly buy sustainable products. Is the glass three quarters empty? Well, another survey, it's actually a global survey. The first one's from the UK, but a global survey found that 6 years ago, only 10% of people said that they regularly buy sustainable products. And Cargill, of all people, of all companies, a big agri giant, said that 55% of customers are now saying they're looking for sustainability claims. So what that means is that things are on the right path. But there's surveys and there's actually what people do. So I love NYU's Stern Sustainable Business Center. They have a thing called the Sustainable Market Share Index. And they have over 5 years of like transaction data from a company called IRI, point of purchase data, tons of it. They have found that while only 16% of products on the shelf at your grocery store are marketed with sustainability claims, that 16% over the last 5 years accounts for 55% of the growth in consumable products. 55%. And they also found that there's a price premium of 40% for sustainable products, real transactions. And that the sustainable products that are also sold online by those same retailers have stronger sales online relative to traditionally or conventional products versus in store. So my view is that the glass is definitely half full. So if you need kind of that bottom line, why should I get into having a more purpose-driven business, a more cause-oriented approach, more sustainable products? Here we go. That's the baseline. Search says, or survey says, right? So in this case, I did some digging into the ads that GoodCarts, the company that I represent, are putting on to the Shopify App Store, the keywords that we're bidding for. And we're bidding for pretty much every single eco-oriented word I could think of, as well as purpose-driven words like donate, donations, charity. And here's like the top 5 categories that people appear to be searching for. These are merchants looking for apps on the Shopify store in the impact space. Donations to charity, number 1. In fact, if you add up the other 4 below it, there's more in donation traffic than there is to carbon offsets, eco-friendly, assuming people are looking for products, sustainability, and plant tree. Although plant tree would be bigger if I had searched for the word trees. So it's a bit dodgy data, if you will, but it's data that no one else has. And the way I decided to present who's coming up next is basically searching for these terms and picking the most installed companies. Now, how do you find cause marketing apps? Just go to the Shopify App Store, go to the App Store, the plugin store for whatever e-commerce platform you use. The more general terms, you might be surprised. And I have this note about time to browse, right? So ecommercetech.io, you guys have a great cause marketing list of apps. Mindful Commerce, we're big friends of Mindful Commerce. They have a directory of apps as well as technology providers. And GoodCarts ourselves also has a guide on like 13 different apps that help you with your mission, and then a whole bunch of other blog content and other guides. Also, I mean, key thing is word of mouth, finding those places, whether it be where you can talk to other merchants about what worked for them, because there are so many choices, figuring out which one to choose. Don't get stuck with analysis paralysis. Be proactive in trying to figure out what you might use for services. So first, I'm going to talk about donation apps. So top three: Shop for Good from Daily Karma, Change Commerce from Shopping Gives, and Easy Donation from Z-Star Technologies. Also on my radar are Gives. They have a really interesting lesson about giving people the choice to where they want to have a donation go for instead of using discounts. Pretty interesting. So little preview here of Daily Karma. I don't know exactly which ones has which features, but I can tell you what this one talks about. It talks about a portion of the sales going to charity, rounding up for charity, the ability to donate for a discount, different options. So here in the bottom corner is the preview of the roundup to the nearest dollar. Shopping Gives. They also do a lot of they have a lot of great content on their site. They do a lot of good online events, virtual events that they sponsor. A lot of opportunities to learn. In this case, if you buy that coat, $8.45 will be donated to the cause of your choice. So at the end, there's an option to choose the charity. So carbon neutral apps, let's keep going. There are over 25 carbon offset climate change related apps. A lot of them are also tree related, which we'll talk about in a moment. EcoCart, these are a couple of pictures from there. They basically say, hey, for 87 cents, you can make your purchase carbon neutral. And they have kind of a nifty thing where you can actually show the amount of CO2 created, estimated, if that is, but from the shipping and the manufacturing of that order. Also, there's Carbon Neutral Cart by Carbon Click, Balance by Carbon Checkout. Offset by Shopify actually was a little higher in the ranking, but I put them down here because they also have built in the offset into their Shopify Pay app. And so if people pay on Shopify via that app, it actually includes some tree planting for the carbon offsets. Tree planting. Okay, so there's 10 different tree planting apps. In fact, on the Mindful Commerce community today, I saw a post about another one that just got approved. So this is a little preview of ecology. There, you can actually link to an aggregate display of your forest, basically the number of trees that your customers have helped you plant. And then the bottom corner there is one tree planted. That one actually is a nonprofit. In this case, it's pretty simple. You pop it up, pop up on the home screen. On the purchase page, or it's in the bottom corner. You can place it in different places. Basically, hey, do you want to spend a buck to plant a tree? That's that app. So there's some other apps. I'm going to shift from cause marketing a bit toward purpose centered, and that means it's kind of getting more deeper into having the impact built into the business model. And Recurate is one. It's a resale platform. I think it's typically for D2C brands, where people who have bought your brand might want to sell a used good with in that brand to other people looking for that brand. And you've seen like Patagonia and some bigger, brands do these types of resale tools. Well, here's a chance now for you to do it at a smaller scale. They just got featured last month by the National Retail Federation. So congratulations. Because it used to be called Because Intelligence. They started off with kind of like sharing your impact all across your site. And that's a key there, is that they've actually broadened that so that you can share lots of different information about your products to help you convert sales. But they still, really view, sharing your impact mission on your product pages as being part of that. Also, just as a side note, having a great about section on your e-commerce store is hugely important if you're trying to win over purpose-driven customers. Those conscious consumers are looking for, what is your role in the world, not just a product in isolation. And we have a guide from GoodCarts available on our site. These slides, I'm going to be sharing the link to these slides for those watching real time in the chat, and I'll make them available from goodcarts.co/slides as well. And then check us out at the virtual booth if you're here live for the e-commerce event. So last but not least, GoodCarts. We are all about growing together and growing together for free. We're a network of purpose-driven retailers. And basically what we are is we're recycling The post-checkout traffic, we insert a little invite in the receipts of our member stores that says, hey, check out other discounts from other Shop for Good or sustainable stores. We have over 150 members in that network. And it's actually over 400 members now across different themed circles, Shop for Good sustainable products being our largest. We have a Made in USA circle, a Black-owned circle. We have a catch-all sort of for entrepreneur circle for small business, although we don't allow companies that sell weapons or adult mature products. So we vet every store and make sure that they're finding themselves to the right circle. So people click on a button on a receipt and they end up here, this brand discovery moment, conscious consumers in a buying mood with their credit card still out is what we say. And these are exclusive discounts collected with an email, and we have an 11% redemption rate of the emails. And we have some optional paid features coming. We're going to be featured in the Shopify Partners blog. We're telling the story. So for anyone here who's actually trying to develop an app or an e-commerce service that's trying to empower merchants to make the world a slightly better place or a better place, we have a lot of lessons on how to do that as well coming out on the Partners blog. And we're just about to announce our partnership with Operation Hope and their 1 Million Black Business Initiative in terms of helping. We're going to cross promote each other, including the Black-owned circle of stores. So these are some of the members of GoodCarts. These are maybe just like you, who are those who are watching this. You have different products, different missions, and you're trying to produce a great product and do the world a favor as you do it. These are the kinds of stories that we're trying to encourage. The question is, like, how do you become a cause-centered brand? I got a lot of text. I'm getting to the end of my presentation here, but let me just say the how is pretty important, right? More sustainable products, renewable energy, ethical labor practices. There's a lot of different resources you can find online, but just really trying to be more transparent in your supply chain and understanding who and how your products are made that you're selling. And by who? It's actually for any kind of business. We are huge fans of fair trade verified brands. We love B Corps and the social enterprise nonprofits that produce products like Women's Bean Project that sell to generate revenue to help their programs. These are all great companies, but any kind of business. And that means everyone who has a passion for great products first, right? That people love, people actually have to buy the stuff, right? And that purpose comes in. And then, of course, profit and or revenue is absolutely essential. And those are the folks that can build in a more cause-centered brand. I'm not going to talk about the slide. I'm just going to say, go to the slides and just note that on one side, if you're basically a D2C brand and you're creating your own stuff, there's tons of resources and services like Supply Shift and To the Market that help with that. If you are looking to sell more ethical products and sustainable products, you don't create your own products, you just sell them. GoodCarts has over 30 members that do wholesale, and there's a great list of ethical fair trade folks that do wholesale as well. And find partners. Again, not going to talk about this in detail. Just there's a lot of great networks that we've built over the last 3 years since I've been with GoodCarts, and I would like to invite you into those networks as well. Find your allies, work with groups, and one of the key things is my favorite page. It's goodcarts.co/groups. These are online communities you can land in today where you're not alone, where you can be part of a community trading information about your CPG brand or about your sustainable fashion startup on Reddit. There's lots of great places to land in dozens of LinkedIn and Facebook groups. We found the ones that actually have that traffic. So we're going to keep this conversation going. Certainly visit GoodCarts, and I'll put this slide up at the end as well. And I'll be hanging out in the virtual expo hall. But now, actually, the highlight of this half hour is to talk to Sungai Zhang and John Salinger. And these are the CEO and the founder of Empowered. So, guys, thank you for joining me here today. I got to get my notes out here. I got some questions ready for you. And as we get set up here, this is a little preview from parts of their website. Just kind of make it feel real online, if you will. And we'll get past that. And now, Derek, if you just want to get us side by side, we're ready to go. All right, I'm not big into introductions. I'm going to share their LinkedIn profiles in the chat. We're just going to jump right into the heart of things here. So, John, Empower really strikes me as a product company that has baked impact into its business model. Could you tell us a little bit about the origin story, your product, and give us an example of your impact, please?
Sure, be happy to. Thank you for the time, and happy to be a partner with GoodCarts, of course. The company is basically a B Corp and a benefit corporation. In other words, we are telling the world that we're a good company. We're showing the world our data and metrics around that, but also our shareholders and stakeholders can hold us accountable for purpose, as well as profit and growth. That leads me to the business model, which is pretty simple. We look for healthy margin sales in the developed world, direct to consumer, which applies here, but also in retail and to corporations. And the more of those we do, the more we can subsidize pricing to make it localized for to be affordable for emerging markets, emergency response, and preparedness.
And the core product, yeah. I mean,
yeah. And so our products are empowered is an acronym for micro power design. And so micro is portable, power is solar, and design is well made, but also has a wow factor, because we found that social capital and enjoyment of use of a product is important. We make products for people anywhere from Kibera, Kenya, to those who shop in New York and Bloomingdale's. And so solar lights, solar chargers, solar speakers, solar bike lights, which have been great in the pandemic, solar string lights have been great in the pandemic, anything solar and portable. And I think the last part of your question, there's so
example
many,
of your impact. You got a good impact story, yeah.
There's so many anecdotal stories. One I'll bring up is actually outside of, we work with 700 NGOs and nonprofits, but this was through a team member, Sebastian Jacobo, who's our industrial designer, who comes to us from Colombia. Actually, I think we speak 7 to 12 languages at any given time, depending on our staff. We're very eclectic in our office and diverse. He traveled back to Colombia, and this is something that's not in the news now because there's unfortunately so much news now, but the refugee crises that we had seen. He took lights down to Colombia, and those trying to get away from Venezuela and passing through Colombia, you'd have a whole family that would be on a dark road, and they'd be a one-lane road. And that family, would be in danger at all times. I mean, I have a 4-year-old. I can imagine, I have to take him to school in New York. It's tough enough. Imagine being in a dangerous situation without any security, health, without any food, any clean water. Plus, there's cars coming at you at like 50 miles an hour in the pitch black. So he was able to give away some of our lights to those that really needed them, to use them as tools for safety, but also to charge their mobile devices on their journey, and to give them just a little bit more hope. So I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, that's a terrific. I didn't know you could charge mobiles with that. That's a great advancement.
Yeah.
I was first I want to welcome you, and also as part of GoodCarts. And I was testing out your site, and I bought some lamps, and my kids love them, and they actually use them in the car to read. They're not too bright in when there's behind the seat there, and you can change the colors. And at least the one we bought was.
You can still drive safely.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it's because it's a muted, really pleasant light, and versus like the overhead light. So anyway, we use them. So Sangha, tell us about like the e-commerce story. So we have a lot of e-commerce, merchants in the room here. What's your e-commerce story?
So at Empowered, we do sell through wholesale channels. REI is one of our biggest retail partners, but importantly to us, our DTC channel is what we call our quote unquote flagship store. This is the vehicle for which we are able to tell our story. As you mentioned, our about section is all about our business model, who we are, how we affect lives. And through our e-commerce channel, we're able to do so in a very palpable, direct way. So during many natural disasters, actually, consumers could go on our website and purchase lights that would go directly towards an NGO partner deploying the lights in emergency situations. Literally, we sent 80,000 lights to Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria, and that was through the power of individuals. And then, of course, our e-commerce site is also the place where you go, where we showcase the entire repertoire of products. It's the only place. We are on Amazon.com, etc., but on Empowered.com, that's the only place where you can find the full range of products as well as exclusive products. We're very determined to make it a place that people can understand what we're doing. They can understand how they can interact with us. They can feel excited about, products that we're bringing to them directly. They can liaise with us if, for instance, they're another business and they'd like to co-brand lights with us, that's another huge opportunity. We just want to make it as interactive, a place to go to find content like our blogs, our PR, etc., as well as a place to shop.
What's your view on sort of that tension between D2C, your own site, versus marketplaces? How are you navigating that?
We're navigating it through understanding the power of different channels. So, of course, Amazon is all about the power of not only their own logistics, but also the audience, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're not trying to compete also, with their discounts and their, next day shipping. So that's why we're offering these, unique attributes on our own website, like these exclusive products, exclusive bundles, the storytelling, the, giving to our development and our natural disaster response lights. So whatever channel that, and we're on target.com, we're on rei.com, but each and every one of those channels, we really look at, what is their area of expertise? Who are they reaching? And then how can we reach our target audience in different ways and new ways, and continue to be a source of information and, of course, shopping.
That's terrific. So, John, I talked toward the end of my comments about, very quickly at the end there, about being a cause-centered business, and you hear a lot about B Corps. So what advice might you have for an e-commerce startup today that's trying to get this right from the start? And maybe you could just tell a bump along the way that you overcame, because that's what a lot of startups have, bumps, right?
Tons. The bump I'll save for last, but it'll actually cross. You don't have to be a for-purpose to hit that bump. It's a major mogul. I think for us, it's been an interesting road. I'll allude to something you said early in the podcast. You talked about partnerships. I think that's essential. We're a for-purpose company. It takes a village. It does. You can't do it alone, especially when you're starting. There are some huge corporations that have massive funding programs. There's grants. There's all kinds of opportunities. There's adjacent brands, complementary brands and products. If you can sort of create community, the wonderful thing about the digital space is it emulates life. It's just a community. And if you can do what you would do at a networking event, if you would do what you would do at a trade show or a conference, but you do it online. So I would say some of our, highest growth initiatives digitally have been through partnerships with established brands that are like-minded, that also believe in impact. And I believe that impact truly makes that process and many of our processes easier.
It's a bridge builder, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, it has to be, right? I mean, It just amplifies, communication. And then the bump in the road, this was before Sangha. I should be careful. It stands for something anyway. We had time where we created our first website. It was our website. It was our flagship store, but it sure didn't look like one. We did it on our own. We did it with a developer who I love. He's a great guy, but as things have progressed, this was 2012. As things have progressed, we now are on Shopify. There was another player in the middle there, but I will say, if you're starting out, that's a great tool.
Mm-hmm.
Don't reinvent the wheel. I think this kind of cuts across most digital tools, but especially your website. Once you've created something that's off template, it becomes a web in the back. And if you have to bring in a new developer, they can't understand it. It's kind of the old general contractor thing. Oh, everything's broken, from your drywall to your boiler, and so I would say on template as much as you can. And as you were alluding to, the Shopify plugins are incredible. Not just the ones you mentioned, but
right.
Just for sort of building your e-commerce store in a friendly and retargeting manner and all that sort of stuff.
Well, that's great. Thank you for that. I want to actually go a little deeper with the Sangha here. Can you tell us a a little bit about sort of the e-commerce tech stack that you have, what's actually working for you in terms of growing your sales, maybe retaining customers. And I'll just mention that, so being one of your customers, I know you use texting quite a bit, right? And definitely, I definitely joined the Empowered family once I bought a product from you. So there's a method to that, right? I mean, you're not just doing it, for the heck of it. You actually have figured out perhaps what works to keep people in the loop. So tell us about what under your tech hood a little bit.
Sure. So you mentioned them earlier. We do use Klaviyo for our emails, email marketing, and that's still, a really powerful tool for us to be able to communicate with our consumers, be it about product or, about the latest natural disaster that we've, helped with supplies in. Also, we use Attentive, which is the SMS marketing app, and we've seen tremendous returns with that. So again, just a quick way of reaching out to consumers. We have a great affiliate network, and we are moving to a new partner this year to help manage that. But we've seen just a tremendous return for us through affiliates. More recently, also we use, review aggregation sites. That's been very, very important to us across the various digital spaces in which we play. And then I would say, there are markets that have been very helpful for us. So of course we are on your platform, and I love the fact that you share so much information actually about the space that we're all in collectively, because it is hard for us as a small niche company with a set line of products to be able to compete, because often the shopper, the classic Amazon shopper buys toilet paper and a stereo or whatever it might be. It's such a broad range of products, right? So we know that as a brand, it's a little bit harder for us to reach, that average order size that makes it, efficient for us on the back end, et cetera. But I think you spoke to exactly what people are looking for. And, if they can find a group of cause-related, sustainable, impact-based companies, there's a consumer that, again, can now shop across, various different types of product categories, various brands. And so we're always looking for those partnerships, because, we're a group of product-driven companies that are also mission-driven. And the more we can support each other as these small individual businesses to get the word out about what we're doing and who we are, then it benefits the whole community.
Here's a spontaneous add-on to that. So obviously we talk about traffic sharing and GoodCarts, but one of the things I've been concerned about is the rising ad costs. Do you do that? Is that still part of your mix where you do advertise Facebook, on Google, whatever, directly to consumers, or how do you find that aspect?
We were just discussing that today in our budget meeting.
Yeah.
Well, we absolutely do, but we're struggling. Google AdWords, social media, Instagram and Facebook. And, how do we differentiate ourselves when it's so expensive, when the ROI is just declining? So yes, great question. And
you figure that out, and then we'll tell everyone else.
You'll figure that out.
Actually, you need to figure it out and have everyone else not figure it out. Then it's to your advantage, right?
I'd add to that.
Yeah, Judd.
Steve. It's just there's a multi-channel approach you have to take. Right. So Facebook is, for one thing, there was the iOS update that anyone on this call would know what I'm talking about. But I think that there's a lot of different ways to play in the digital space, and you gotta be just like in any other space. You gotta be well versed, and you gotta be diverse.
That's a good plug. So GoodCarts has an article on retargeting and third-party cookies that we wrote up, because I had a commissioned a writer because I didn't know enough about it. And I really want to understand this from the perspective of an e-commerce merchant, particularly when I've heard that retargeting is one of the best tools out there. And if changes to privacy, which may be well warranted, make that more expensive, that's a hit, right? In terms of being able to effectively reach people outside of just advertising on Facebook or Google. If you want to get your ads out across the wide web, it's challenging. So Derek, we're finishing up here. Why don't you we just want to thank our panelists for being here, and thanks for the opportunity, Derek.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. Really appreciate what you bring here. And there are, in fact, some other tools that are kind of revolutionizing some of these problems you hinted at. Some of them can be found at some of our other sessions here today. Thank you all so much for joining us. We're going to move right into our next session.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.